I'm Khalilah Brown-Dean, and I'm chair of the board of directors here at the Community Foundation. It is my wonderful pleasure to invite you and welcome you to tonight's annual meeting. This is a beautiful spring day, and it is matched by the beauty of all of you who have joined us here tonight. So I want you to take a moment to look around the room tonight, because you will see people that you don't normally encounter in your everyday interactions. And what I want you to remember is that each of you represents a thread in this beautiful tapestry that we call community. I'd like to recognize the hardworking staff of the Community Foundation and ask that you join me in thanking them. And I'd also like to thank my fellow board members who give of their time and their talent in myriad ways. And I would ask them to please stand. Our Vice Chair, the Honorable Nick Norcott. Joe Gordon in the back. Dr. Maisa Akbar. Dr. Marcella Nunez-Smith. Greg Pepe, and our newest board member, Terry Jones. In addition, Alicia Caraballo, Roxanne Cody, Kellyanne Day, and Carlton Highsmith send their regrets. Thank you to our former board members for the path that they have charted. And lastly, I want to thank my husband, William Dean Jr., and our daughter, Haley Dean, for their support and encouraging me in this position. Now, like so many of you, my life is constantly on the go. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a political science professor, and every once in a while they let me play on the radio and talk about political issues. So with all of that planning, I thought I had done this good thing by writing my remarks 2 weeks ago so I could move something off my to-do list. But yesterday, students in my American politics course wanted to talk about the uncertainty that they felt in our cities, in our state, our country, and indeed our nation. That uncertainty is felt by parishioners in Sri Lanka who fear another terror attack. It is felt by our neighbors who strike to demand a living wage, and it's felt by community residents from multiple towns who march to demand justice. Uncertainty is felt by our seasoned citizens who worry that their life's work may not sustain them in their later years. Our public square today is clouded by diversions and deceptions that undermine our shared humanity. And so in the middle of that conversation with my students, an otherwise timid freshman raised her hand, and she asked in a shaky voice, "Where is the hope?" And so it was in that moment that I realized what this community, our community, deserves is truth and hope. So this morning I scrapped those remarks, added one more thing to my to-do list, and started thinking about the fact that with each new headline, with each political development, it is easy for us to act from a place of fear and hate. But fear and hate have no place in this community, whose very existence represents the power of possibility. The great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Philanthropy is commendable, but it must not cause the philanthropists to overlook the circumstances of economic injustice which make philanthropy necessary." Indeed, it is much easier to reach the finish line when you have a head start. And for too many people in our community, they struggle to push off the starting blocks. This is the challenge that we face. And as a board, that is the charge we have accepted, to not merely focus on inviting in, but to commit more to going out and listening to the voices of communities who are too often underrepresented and underserved. We do that as we preserve long-standing relationships that have been built over this organization's 91-year history. We as a board are committed to better understanding the role that philanthropy must play in addressing systemic challenges that shape the well-being of people across our region. We are committed to developing strategies built on the shared values of transparency, accountability, and equity. And so it is not lost on me that I stand before you this evening knowing that the founders of this organization could never imagined that an African-American woman, first-generation college graduate, would be here in this space. And yet, here I am. And most importantly, here we are. In this boathouse, yards away from where captives aboard the Amistad, the Mende people were brought to face a life of the unknown. As we collectively honor 2019 as the 400th anniversary of enslaved Africans arriving on the shores of Jamestown, we do so aware of where hope resides. Hope resides in parents who immigrate to our country in search of a better way of life for their children, in entrepreneurs who incubate their ideas and talents while showing young people the value of taking a risk on their dreams. Hope resides in residents across our region who persist in spite of an increasingly divisive political space that seeks to diminish their freedom. It resides in educational institutions that build global citizens who will tackle the great problems of our time. Hope is found in the organizations, nonprofits, and individuals in our community who address poverty, workforce development, and addiction, who protect our natural resources and ensure that all children have access to clean water and safe places to live. Hope is found in clients who become counselors, advocates, and providers, and those who know that art and culture are to be valued, not for the revenue they can generate, but for the sense of community and imagination that it inspires. Hope is found in the children of our community who fulfill New Haven's promise, and by extension, democracy's promise, by making it to, through, and back. In neighborhoods who recognize that wealth is not defined by material possessions, but by human capital. And hope is found in all of you who are willing to claim now in the present that which we hope to see for our children's futures. And so as we work together to promote a collective vision of community and growth, we do so not as the leader, but as one among many stakeholders who know that sometimes it's more important to listen than to speak, to partner rather than dominate, and to build upon rather than replace. Yes, the challenges may be great and at times overwhelming, but our collective will as a community is even greater. Because as the African proverb states, I am because we are, and we are because I am. Thank you again for coming. Now please join me in welcoming the President and CEO of the Community Foundation, Will Ginsberg.